All right. I think I am live. I am really not sure. I'm not expecting a ton of you guys to be on right now because I didn't really get a lot. I didn't really get the word out. So I'm kind of tiptoeing through this kind of live presentation here on Facebook, and it will be on YouTube as well. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to share with my group and share with people, other actors, and maybe you're an entrepreneur or you're an animator. And I've come up this series on the science of emotions and how it applies to our artistic expression. And that is what the goal of this, maybe I'm going to probably do 5, 6 of these different videos. And the reason why I'm putting this all out here right now is because I just been reading a lot about, people posting about emotions and facial expressions and how important they are. But the problem is a lot of the information of the path to that really isn't correct. So it's going to lead you down a path that, I thought, well, here I'm going to step in and go, well, let me share with you the science. Now, as I've already started talking, I should, for those of you who don't know me, I should probably say it on here. I'm on Facebook. I should say who I am. But in case you don't, welcome. My name is John Sudol. I am the founder of the John Sudol Acting Studio. I'm also the founder of the Emotion Training Center. I've been an acting teacher, an acting on-set coach, and acting audition coach for about 35 years or so. However, the last maybe 15 to 20, I've been really honing into a specific aspect of on-camera acting and one-to-one communication, and that's how our face communicates emotion, thought, and feeling. And what I end up doing over those like 15 years to get the information is I've been studying the leading researchers in the field of emotions. And it's great. It's all science, and it tells us about emotions. It tells us about what they look like, what they feel like, and so on and so forth. Problem is, how do you take that information and then apply it to your on-camera storytelling? And that's what I wanted to do, not necessarily all today, but it's what I want to do is begin to share, well, what does that science mean to us as on-camera actors, on-camera communicators? So that's kind of the, I think it'll be fun to go, do you have these challenges? If you have this particular challenge, here's why you may be having it, and here's what you can do to eliminate that challenge, to become better at on-camera communication. So I've taken that level of on-camera communication. I've written 2 books about it. I have both of them on Amazon, both on emotional communication for the on-camera actors. One's called Acting Face-to-Face, the Actor's Guide to Understanding How Your Face Communicates Emotion for TV and Film. And then Acting Face-to-Face 2, which was the Actor's Guide to Creating Genuine Emotion for the Camera and getting into emotional alignment. And what you need to know right now about these books, or if you're interested, is the first book defined the significant difference between acting for the camera and acting for the stage, and that difference being how your face communicates thought, feeling, and emotion. So when you think about it, it really makes sense that the actor who has this ability to control what and how their face communicates is the actor who's going to be the most qualified to work on camera, the most prepared to work on camera. So what I found out is that there's certain challenges that a lot of the actors have that are in your way of getting your emotional message across the way you intend. And now we need to figure out, well, how do we overcome those challenges? I was just reading a report the other day. They did a study, over 50 different studies. And what they found out is only a minority of people actually express what they feel the way they feel it. So this is real people. So if we all have challenges with our emotional communication, maybe that minority, that small amount of people who tend to be booking all the jobs, by the way, they're the ones who are abnormal. Can we level the playing field? And that means, can you, when you're looking at your challenges, is there a way that you can overcome those challenges? Maybe your face is too busy. Maybe you're an eyebrow actor. Maybe you don't know how to get what you're feeling in here out to here. Maybe you have a problem adjusting it. These are all challenges. And once we understand the science and then understand how it applies to this storytelling, we get control over it. When you understand this science of emotions and how they are expressed on our face, and how to apply it to our artistic expression, you become the captain of your ship. You become the master of your instrument. And when we understand how to use this science to our benefit, what it does is it lays out a clear emotional path to our destination. And that path is also repeatable because you know how you got there. So if you don't know how you got there, that can be a big problem a lot of the times, because if you can't repeat something, odds are you're probably not going to book that job. I see many, when I was in casting, I've seen many actors who were in the running to get, to book in the job. They liked them, but the problem was they did something really cool, but they couldn't repeat it again. And it was something, a variation of that. So we need to be able to repeat it. So understanding the science behind the emotions and facial expressions also not only will make you more emotionally free, which is really important. I mean, we want to be emotionally free, but more important than that is emotionally precise. All right, anybody? So I see we got 1 or 2 people jumping on here. If you want, if you got a thought, I'm not gonna be able to really respond to you right now, but ultimately I will respond. So write your comments in the comments section. What I want to be sharing with you in this particular video is just the 4 reasons why you need to study the science behind the emotions and then work out for yourself how to apply that to your artistic expression. Doing the same thing over and over and getting the same unwanted result is not going to work. Trying to be more truthful and more honest is not necessarily the answer. In fact, back to those reports going, well, people aren't honest and truthful. They're still not getting their message across the way of town. We're storytellers, so we're trying to tell a very specific story. So why should you study emotions? The main reason you need to study the emotions because what business are you in? You're in the on-camera emotional communication business. And that means that we are looking for you to tell the story about that includes your feelings, your thoughts, and your emotions. And if you have no idea how they are evoked consistently, time after time, if you don't know how to what they feel and look like from the onset to the subtle expression to the full expression, well, you're at a serious disadvantage over those who do. So what I want to kind of be the 4 reasons that we really need to be studying emotion, the science of emotion. First of all, if we look at these 4 reasons and see the benefits that comes along with it. Now, when we're talking about the science of emotion, I'm also talking about facial expressions. They all go together. So when number 1 is when you know the nature and experience of an emotion, that means you have the tools to interpret the material and find all the emotions that are in the scene. Now, most of us, we don't know about, what evokes an emotional response. We know what happens to us. What will we do if this were true? Well, that's great. However, you might be coming into material that's a little bit out of your league of experience. And so understanding emotions allows us to interpret the scene from an emotional point of view. Now, oftentimes casting is, and I've heard casting say this many, many times, if you want to stand out from the crowd, right? Do something different. which is a lot of stress, first of all, because how do you know what everybody else is doing? But even if you did, when we read and we look at certain circumstances, because of our own personal nature, we are going to more than likely respond all in the same way. If somebody fell down, we probably would respond by getting up and try to help them. So that's kind of the nature of it. And a lot of this scene, these scenes are laid out in that way. It makes sense that you do this one thing. So people try to do things differently, and they make wild choices that make no sense. But they're doing it because they feel this pressure to do something different. If you want to do something different, then you need to react to something different. Right? So I don't know if that makes sense. When you understand the emotions, you know that there is a trigger. And now, what aspect of that trigger are you really reacting to? Are you reacting to what I said or the way I said it? Are you reacting to maybe where I said it? Are you reacting to something in our relationship? So when you begin to understand how emotion is evoked, and the triggers, you go, oh, I don't have to react to that. I can react to this. And it's right there in the script. So when you understand the nature and experience of emotion, you're able to interpret all and find all the emotions in the scene. The second thing is if you know what emotions your character is experiencing, then you know what they feel. You know what they want to do. Let me say that again. So if you know what emotion the character is feeling, then you know what they want to do. And this is back to the nature of emotions. Like, for example, anger. If you are to get angry, you experience that anger, you know you're angry. Well, one of the ways you know you're angry by the impulses. You know that you want to do something. And when someone or something makes us angry, we want to punish that. We want to retaliate. We want to seek revenge. Anger is the only emotion that wants to hurt purposefully. So if I'm not wanting to do one of those things, if I'm not looking to punish or retaliate in some way, maybe I'm not angry. You may experience it and then distort and go to a different emotion, but let's just keep it, I am angry. So if you know that, then you know your character wants to do one of those things. He wants to retaliate. He wants to punish. Now the question you have to ask yourself is, well, why don't they? And on-camera acting is more about resisting doing something than it is about the actual physically doing it. It takes a lot of energy to control the impulse to hurt than it is to actually hurt. So that's why we can have this medium close-up, medium shot in a close-up in an angry state and control it without doing something to build the emotion. So if you understand the science behind emotions, you want to understand triggers. And when you understand triggers and you also understand the impulses in the emotion, then you know what the character wants to do. Now the question is, why don't they do it? Now that takes our work to another step. The third reason you should study the science behind emotion is when you know the sensations and those impulses behind the emotions, what it does is it tells you where you are in your emotional experience. Make sense? It tells you where you are. So if I'm not really feeling, each emotion, should say, kind of has its own sensations. Well, it does have its own sensations. We can feel the breath picking up, we feel the warmth, we feel the tension in the body in certain places, and each emotion has their own sensations. So we know when we're angry, and it feels different than happy. And we know when we're sad, and that feels different than fear. We know these changes, and we also know when we're experiencing emotion, we want to do something, as I just talked about. So where you are, you're going, I'm not feeling any changes that are happening in my body. I'm not feeling the breath picking up. I'm not feeling an impulse to do something. So you know what? You're not in that emotional experience yet, or you're just beginning to get there. So the problem is, if you don't know where you are in that emotional experience, you may be starting to seem too soon or too late. And then all of a sudden, you're on the verge of hysteria. So understanding these sensations, they are the markers that you look for to determine where you are in the emotional state. The fourth is, which I think is most important, is that when you understand the emotions and you understand what they feel like in your body, sound like in your voice, now you know what they look like and feel like on your face. You know when you feel those changes coming in, because the emotions have specific muscle groups, which we're going to get in a little bit later, that define them, that are unique to that emotion and that emotion only. That's how we know when somebody is sad and not angry, or that we know that they're fearful and not feeling a sense of contempt towards us. So when you know these changes, what they are, bang, you know that your emotional message is being communicated the way you intend. Of course, there's more to it than all that, but just that's the starting point of understanding the science behind emotion. Now we have to know how it applies to the artistic expression. And that brings in three elements of timing, intensity, and duration, which I'm going to get into in our next live session. So right now, I know that most people are going to be picking this up on the replay. Great. I'm welcome. I'm happy that you're here. Happy you're taking a look at this. Do me a favor. If you liked what I had to say, you want to know more, leave me a comment. I'm going to be coming back Friday, and I believe it's going to be at 2 p.m. On the Pacific time. I will send out to my list. I'll send out an email. If you want to get notified about the next session, I think you can just, if you're on my page right now, like my page, and I think you can drop it down and get notifications. That'll tell you when I'm going to be live. I want to know what your challenges are when it comes to on-camera acting, your challenges with creating and revealing what you intend. And I'm talking specifically challenges that will come from facial expressions. I know a lot of you will think that this is all that they happen naturally. I know that a lot of you will believe that all I need to do is to make everything smaller. If that is you, what I'm going to say to you is, I'll show you my science, you show me yours. I'm just playing, but the bottom line is, if you're not having challenges with your facial communication, you're booking all the jobs, you don't need to be listening to this. So I want to congratulate you and wish you well. I really want to be in touch with the people who realize that they are having specific challenges. They're not getting their emotional messages across the way they intend. They're not taking the headshot that they want to take. They're not booking. You're not getting the call back in a job. They can't control their face. It's all over the place. If this is you, this is where you need to be. We're going to be talking all about emotions, how they are created, and then how they are revealed, and the science behind that, and what you can do to be more of a consistent, precise, on-camera storyteller. All right. I hope that helps. Like the page, like the comment, leave me a comment, and come back. I'm going to be here Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific time. All right. I hope all is well. I don't know how to get out of this, but we will see.